All right, hello and welcome. Today we're diving into a period in Indian history that's often called the Golden Age. And for good reason. It was a time of just explosive progress in science, art, and culture. We're talking about the Gupta Empire, a civilization that absolutely thrived for over 2 centuries and left a mark on the world that we still feel today. So, let's get into it. Our journey is going to start with a simple but really powerful idea. Dhanraj Sir believes your potential is limitless. You just need the right map. That's a great thought to get us started, but it kind of begs the question, right? When you're looking back at an empire that was at its peak over 1,500 years ago, how in the world do you even begin to draw that map? Well, the answer is you follow the clues they left behind for us. We piece together the story of the Guptas by digging into the primary sources that have somehow survived all this time. Things like inscriptions carved into stone, incredible buildings, and even the diaries of people who traveled there from far away. For our explainer today, we're going to lean on 2 amazing maps. On the left, you've got the Allahabad Pillar. Think of this as the official story, etched in stone, all about military victories and political power. And then on the right, we have the writings of Fa Hien, a Chinese pilgrim, whose diary gives us this incredible ground-level view of what daily life was actually like. Putting these 2 together, that's how we get a real 3-dimensional picture of the Gupta world. So let's use our maps to investigate why. Why did this era earn that incredible title of India's classical or golden age? What was so special about it? We're going to break it down into 3 main pillars: political stability, an amazing cultural renaissance, and just mind-blowing scientific genius. First up, forging the empire. None of the cool stuff we're about to talk about could have ever happened without a stable, unified, and powerful government. This was the foundation that a few brilliant rulers built. And that story really kicks off with this guy, Samudragupta. He was such a dominant military commander and a brilliant strategist that he's actually been nicknamed the Napoleon of India. Now, this is what's so fascinating. Samudragupta was way more than just a conqueror. He was a master politician. The Allahabad Pillar actually lays out his super sophisticated 4-part foreign policy. In the north, boom, he just annexed kingdoms. But in the south, he was smarter. He defeated the rulers, but then let them keep their thrones as long as they answered to him. His neighbors, they paid him tribute. And the really distant areas, he brought them into the fold with diplomacy and marriage alliances. See, this wasn't just conquest. It was brilliant, strategic empire building. And here's the result of all that smart thinking. Look at this map. Samudragupta unified this huge chunk of North India, all the way from the Himalayas down to the Narmada River. This political unity was the bedrock, creating the peace and prosperity you absolutely need for a golden age of culture to happen. And the apple didn't fall far from the tree. Samudragupta's son, Chandragupta II, he had his dad's strategic mind. He pushed the empire's borders even further west, but he also used smart political marriages to secure his power in the south. You can literally see the confidence of his reign stamped right on the money. Check out these coins. Here's Chandragupta II slaying a lion. What a symbol of power, right? And then on the other side, you've got Lakshmi, the goddess of prosperity. This wasn't just cash. It was basically propaganda, telling everyone in the empire just how powerful and rich the Gupta dynasty was. Okay, so this brings us to our second pillar, the cultural renaissance. With the empire stable, secure, and wealthy, creative genius was just unleashed. It led to these incredible, breathtaking achievements in art, literature, and education. The literary scene was absolutely dominated by one giant figure, Kalidasa. He's often compared to Shakespeare, and for good reason. His plays and poems were so brilliant that they've been translated into major languages all over the world. His work gives us this amazing window into the society, the religion, even the politics of the time. And in architecture, the Guptas were total pioneers. This right here is the Vishnu Temple at Deogarh, and it's a huge deal. It's one of the very first temples in North India to have a tower, or a shikara, and to be built out of stone and brick instead of wood. This was a massive turning point that basically set the blueprint for Hindu temple design for centuries. Now look at this number, 10,000. What on earth could that possibly represent back in the Gupta Empire? That was the number of students and teachers at Nalanda University. And this was not just some local school. This was arguably the world's first great residential university. It was a global hub for learning that pulled in the brightest minds from as far away as China, Korea, and Japan to study things like logic, medicine, math, and philosophy. And all of that brainpower concentrated in one place? Well, it leads us to our third and final pillar, the period's absolutely incredible scientific and mathematical achievements. And I mean it, some of these ideas literally laid the groundwork for the world we live in today. Let's start with a bit of a mystery. Imagine making an iron pillar over 1600 years ago that's left outside in the rain and the heat, and it just never rusts. Sounds impossible, doesn't it? Well, there it is. The Iron Pillar of Delhi is just this stunning piece of proof of how advanced Gupta-era metalworking was. Even today, with all of our modern science, researchers are still scratching their heads trying to figure out exactly how they pulled off this amazing feat of engineering. Okay, now for a little lightning round of pure genius, all from one man, the astronomer and mathematician Aryabhata. First up, his calculation for the value of pi was 3.1416. For the 5th century, that is astonishingly accurate. He also correctly figured out what causes solar and lunar eclipses, and, get this, he proposed that the Earth rotates on its axis and revolves around the sun. We're talking more than 1,000 years before Copernicus ever did in Europe. It's just incredible. But maybe the most important innovation of them all was this one, the concept of zero and the decimal system. Just think about that for a second. Without zero, there is no modern math. There's no binary code. And that means no computers, no smartphones, no internet. This single concept, developed in Gupta-era India, is the foundation of our entire digital world. So, let's put it all together. You see how it all connects? The political unity created peace and prosperity. That prosperity then funded a renaissance in art and education. And that educational environment created the space for scientific geniuses whose ideas literally shaped our modern world. That is why the Gupta period earns the title of a golden age. The Gupta Empire itself, it did eventually fall after being weakened by invasions. But its real legacy, that wasn't its borders on a map. It was its ideas. Its art, its science, its philosophy, those things lasted. Which kind of leaves us with one last thought. What ideas from our time are going to be powerful enough to still be echoing 1,500 years into the future? Thanks for watching.